Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome. Now, as Queen Naomi's final full moon ritual approaches, Oloris are getting really uncomfortable, understanding that there may be no way back anymore, like no going back for the Oni of Ife or Queen Naomi, because of where they are now. From 13 very serious spiritual materials, they have just one left, like they have found 12, and that is a big deal. And this is scaring the hell out of them. As I said last week, everybody was scared, including Queen Naomi, because they thought that, this might not be successful. But with what has happened recently, they are beginning to realize that this is something that has come to stay, and this is scaring the living daylight out of them. We've got a report that, lorries are going left, right, and center, trying to find where to perch, trying to see what they can do, because the jazz doesn't seem to be working anymore. It's not responding anymore. So, you know what happened 2 weeks ago when Kabiyesi said, as in categorically, that he was going to take of traditional immunity from 3 of the Oloris. And you know that if you know what is going on, that once this is done, it's almost as if he may not necessarily divorce them, but it's like saying that, Omo to your tent, O Israel, you're on your own. And that is a big thing. This has affected the Olori so much, and we heard that right now they are looking for a way out, as in with everything that they have got, to see how they can rescue themselves. This is what is going on. They say the final phase of Queen Naomi's restoration is unfolding with divine precision, and the spiritual realm seem to be aligning events faster than anyone could have predicted. What many thought was an impossible dream is now taking form. Queen Naomi is gradually being positioned or repositioned, not just in the heart of the Oni of Ife, but also in the royal structure itself. But as this divine orchestration moves forward, it is not without resistance. The palace, once a sacred ground of order and reverence, is now rattled by, wave of jealousy, sabotage, and power-hungry desperation. Sources close to the palace have confirmed that key elders in the inner circle of decision-making are now being exposed. At the center of the latest uproar is a bribery scandal involving several high-ranking palace elders. A palace elder under strict anonymity has accused 2 influential voices in the palace, known as, of course, we do know Gospel Anikpi, of bribing 3 other elders himself, include to oppose the Oni of Ife's recent decision to strip palace elders, to strip them of, immunity privilege, okay? This immunity had previously, shielded them from scrutiny or rebuke, even when their actions went against the interests of the throne or the Yoruba tradition. They say the Oni of Ife, known for his patience and wisdom, had reached a point where he could no longer ignore the division and mischief these people were sowing behind closed doors. His decision to remove immunity was aimed at purifying the palace, restoring spiritual balance, and re-establishing integrity in royal affairs, especially as Queen Naomi returns becomes inevitable. But that decision has not sat well with some, and it appears they are now fighting back through manipulation, lies, and bribe. This elder, who has now come clean, confessed that he accepted a substantial amount of money and promise of further favors in exchange for sorry about that sound, it was my son that rang the bell, okay? Okay, so, but according to him, his conscience could no longer bear the weight of betrayal, especially as he began to see signs that Queen Naomi's return is not just a romantic restoration, but a spiritual fulfillment for the entire kingdom. I have seen signs, he said, and I know now that the Oni is being led by something higher than politics or emotion. This is destiny playing out. What is disturbing is the extent to which the sabotage goes from secretly spreading, damaging rumor about Queen Naomi to trying to influence younger chief and palace staff to reject her re-entry into the palace. These elders have not stopped. Yet, despite their effort, Queen Naomi continues to rise. Her image is shining brighter than ever, and her influence is growing quietly but steadily. but within and outside the palace walls, okay? Sources from the inner cycle say he is not surprised by the betrayal. In fact, it was part of what he anticipated. The decision to remove immunity from Oloris, was not taken lightly. He knew that those who had been, benefiting from unchecked power would resist and retaliate. But he also knew that without cleaning up the internal rot, Queen Naomi's return would be under threat. He wants her to come back in a palace where, truth reigns, not politics. And so he is determined to confront the chaos ahead. Okay? That is what an elder is saying. Now, Gospel and Ikpe, the two, these two, okay, are doing everything to frustrate everything. They said the two men, at the heart of the bribery scandal are not minor figures. They are men with deep root in the palace network, men who have stood by the Oni in the past, but now seem to be driven by a fear of losing relevance. Their fear is not just about Queen Naomi's return. It's about what her returns represent. A new order, a restoration of value, a cleansing of what has been polluted, and they know that with Queen Naomi back in her rightful place, there will be no room for corruption, no tolerance for double-faced loyalty, okay? They say the Gise royal dynasty, which Queen Naomi is married into, is now rallying in her favor. A significant number of them have started openly supporting her, refusing to partake in the smear campaign or the sabotage, okay? They have confessed that they see in Queen Naomi not just a woman of virtue, but someone who brings honor and balance to the dynasty. Her grace under pressure, has won her many silent admirers within the palace, and now those admirers are beginning to speak up. Elders who once kept quiet out of fear of backlash are now finding their voices. Some have started approaching the Oni privately, admitting their past mistakes, asking for forgiveness, and pledging loyalty to both him and Queen Naomi. One of them was quoted as saying, "We were misled, but it is clear now that she carries a light none of us can deny." Now, you see, these women, the thing is that it's very frustrating to, be in a place where you have fought so much, nothing has come out of your fight. And that is why they are doing this. They said they have been so exposed again and disgraced. So every day they are giving Kabiyesi a better reason to do what he has always wanted to do. I'm going to bring you more updates. Forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.